To the channel, guys. Today we are going to look at the 1872 FA Cup final. This was the first FA Cup final, and it was played at Kennington Oval in London on the 16th of March 1872. It was between the Wanderers and the Royal Engineers, and the Wanderers won the match 1-0 with a Morton Betts scoring in the 15th minute. The FA Cup became the primary cup competition in English football and is the oldest cup competition in the world. Prior to this, clubs just played friendlies against each other that was near them because of the cost of getting around. In the first FA Cup, there were 15 teams that entered, and due to the rules in place at the time, the Wanderers reached the final having played only one match in 4 rounds. There were lots of byes and a couple of replays, and in one match, Queen's Park of Scotland played the Wanderers. They drew their semi-final, but then couldn't afford to return for the replayed, and the Wanderers were sent straight to the final. Like I said, the final was won by only 1 goal by Morton Betts. The Royal Engineers were praised for their passing game, where most teams at the time relied on dribbling tactics. So the ball would be played out to one player who'd pass to someone and they'd dribble on the way to the next round. As you can see from the team sheets, the Wanderers won by a 15-minute goal by Morton Betts. 2,000 people, I believe they paid £1 each to get into the match. And as you can see, that both teams did not have a substitute, as substitutes weren't allowed at the time, and all of the Royal Engineers team were serving members in the Royal Engineers of the British Army. The trophy and both teams, as you can see, there was no sort of match day squad really. The cup that you can see on the screen cost £25 and was the very first FA Cup. The Wanderers were captained by C.W. Alcock, who won the toss and decided to defend the goal at the western end of the ground, so that the Royal Engineers were considered to be the favourite, played with the wind in their faces. Early in the match, Edward Cresswell of the Royal Engineers broke his collarbone but refused to leave the field, and that was quite a lot of players who suffered an injury in the very early days before substitutes were actually brought in to cup football and to league football. And if you want me to do something on substitutes, please let me know in the comments below. I will do that. As there were no substitutes in that day, he went out onto the wing and was really a passenger for the rest of the match. On 15 minutes, the Wanderers took the lead when Betts opened the scoring from an acute angle after Walpole Vidal's long dribble. After 20 minutes, Alcock had put the ball into the Royal Engineers goal, but this was disallowed due to Charles Wollaston handling the ball. The Wanderers continued to exert pressure, but there was no further score. This was due to the Royal Engineers keeper William Merriman making a great display in goal for that day. A newspaper called The Field called the final the fastest and hardest match ever seen at Kennington Oval. What you've got to remember is that over 150 years ago, there weren't that many people playing football, and it was really a free-for-all. It's not like the technical game that we know today. The game was attended by 2,000 people, and like I said it earlier, I believe that it was £1, which for all of you that were born after 1971, I think it is, that's 5 pence. The Wanderers were presented with the cup on the 11th of April 1872 after a special dinner was given for them in their honour. They weren't presented with the cup at the end of the match. It was a special dinner a few weeks later. The restaurant was called the Pall Mall restaurant in Charing Cross. Each player was presented with a silk badge to commemorate the victory by the FA, and the Wanderers committee, because there were committees at the time, not like we've got nowadays where you've got a head coach or a manager with an assistant head coach, assistant manager. It was all done by a committee. A group of gentlemen would meet around the table and discuss who was playing and what tactics they were going to use. The Wanderers committee presented each player with an inscribed gold medal for their win on that day. Like I said, it was in the really early days of the FA Cup. Nothing like that we know today. So that was just a quick insight into the 1872 final. If you want me to do more about the final and the 15 teams, that entered the first final or the first rounds of the FA Cup, please let me know just by dropping it into the comments below. I'm going to wrap this one up now because it's not a very long one. There's not a lot around about the FA Cup in the early days. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this video, would you like to give me a thumbs up? Hit the like button so you know when I'm going to drop a new video. Consider subscribing. It is absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. You're not going to get an email sent to you saying, please pay this. It's absolutely free. You can unsubscribe anytime that you want. Once again, thank you very much for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next one. There will be a couple on the screen in a few moments, so if you want to check those out on my channel, that would be brilliant. Thanks a lot for listening, and bye for now.